Welcome to the SymCast podcast. My name is Jessica Wisner. I am the product marketing manager here at Symplast, and today I have Michael Hervis, one of our newest team members. He is our new vice president of revenue expansion, excuse me. So today, Michael, we really just want to get to know you a little bit about your years of experience in the industry. So let's start at a high level, shall we? Tell us a little bit about you. Where do you come from? Where do you live? What's your favorite food? We have a churro cart next to us.
Churro cart. That could be in the running for favorite foods.
Honestly, I wouldn't blame you. So anyways, Michael, tell us a little bit about you.
Sure, yeah. So I am a Floridian, 100% born, bred, educated, raised. I was born in Miami, staring at the ocean at a hospital that's actually on the bay over there. So
oh my gosh.
I think that started my love of the ocean. So if we ever get into the hobby section, just get me out on the water. I live on the water currently, and anything that has to do with the water I love to do.
Are you a surfer, sailor?
Can do them all. Was raised on
skis.
Water skis. I'm better on like hydro slides than I am on two skis. But fishing, I just went to Bimini a couple weeks ago. I guess after this I'll show you our catches.
Biggest fish you ever caught?
Pounds or the type?
I'll take both.
The biggest fish I ever caught solo was it's not the heaviest, but one of my prize ones was an almost 50-pound wahoo, which is a very rare thing to do that you can only find in the eastern side of the Bahamas. So that's why we shoot it over to Bimini. That's probably one of my prize catches all around.
So Pixar didn't happen. You'll have to show me later.
I will. But yeah, Floridian. Went to Florida State University. Lived here my entire life, all over the state. Currently, I live in Boca Raton, Florida. And yeah, from a work perspective, I've been in the SaaS industry, I like to say, for a couple of decades, which covers a variety of spaces. Most recently, I spent about a decade in the fintech sector, with everything from startups to smaller organizations to publicly traded companies where I've run multiple states for them. Fintech is such a wide thing, right?
It is.
We think credit card processing, but e-commerce, online payments, reducing friction at the payment site, which is why I get excited about this stuff. And the more I see and learn about practices and some of the challenges they have, I can absolutely see ways that Symplast can continue to help the practitioners and our clients really expand on their revenue, ergo the title.
Yeah, so I think that's a perfect segue into my next question. Being someone who has come from the practice side and previously worked with many of our Symplast clients, I know one of the biggest things that I have always advocated for is the integrated payment processing, just because of the simplicity that it brings to your practice. So given your years of experience working in fintech, let's speak to that a little bit. What is the benefit from your perspective and all of your years of expertise of having an integrated payment processing system?
Yeah, so the shorter answer, Jess, would probably be what isn't the benefit of it, right?
Yeah.
But in the spirit of time, I would say, anytime you have an integration that's already built in and there's less hands touching it, less manual, you've removed a lot of human error, right? When you're talking about credit card processing, there's a lot of security and compliance that you have to adhere to, right? So if you can automate that and centralize it with a completely integrated system such as Symplast, you're removing a lot of those challenges or, occasional errors that may happen.
I have horror stories from my years on the practice side.
I might start interviewing you then.
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll save that one for another day, but yes. I could tell you some horror stories about not having an integrated system.
So accuracy, security, I think those are huge drivers nowadays, especially when you're talking about the medical space, right? There's a lot of scrutiny in the space. There's a lot of eyes watching, and things need to be done correctly as you continue down the road in business.
Yeah, well, and one of those things that I always like to touch on is saving credit card information, right? Mm-hmm. So you have a patient, you want to secure that appointment. So you put a credit card on file to hold the appointment, just like when you're booking a hotel room, right? This is very common in a lot of aesthetic practices, medical spas, in order to guarantee that appointment and, make sure that they're going to show up. One of the things that practices sometimes do before they realize about the legality of saving a credit card to file. They want to accomplish the goal, and that's where they're coming from. It's an honest place. They will put that credit card information somewhere that's maybe not secure, not encrypted. Can you talk a little bit about the risks associated with that, and why it's so important to have that fully encrypted PCI compliant system?
It's great that you bring that up, and it's common in businesses, not just in the space that we serve, where folks will jot down a credit card. So the short answer is there's PCI compliance, as you mentioned before, that ensures that we're protecting the cardholder's private data in that secure transaction, right? Writing stuff down is a major no-no, and a real fast way to be able to stop taking credit cards at your practice, right?
Yeah.
The big card brands, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express, they get wind of that, and it's a bit of a challenge, right?
Yeah.
The good part is what's the solution to it, right? How do you do it? So we've got an ability in our system that, again, is fully integrated to tokenize a card, store a card on file, and then digitally also get authorization to be able to use that card. Then obviously that can transition itself into a cash flow conversation for the practice, where you're constantly staying ahead of the banks, right? You're never chasing a payment that's due, because you've gotten authorization, you've gotten approval, and you've securely stored the card information on file. There's nowhere to go but getting an agreement from your patient, from your client. They say, yes, you need to reserve a room, whatever the cost is, $2,000 to reserve it. Okay, we've got your card on file, we'll go ahead, we'll run the transaction, send you a copy of the receipt. Everything is smooth, nobody's touching anything, and everything's been truncated and within the system. So it's a very secure way to make a transaction.
Yeah, and that leads me to my next question, because all of that's beautiful. That's the goal. Now, you have those instances, chargebacks. It's an unfortunate issue that we run into, especially in the aesthetics industry, and plastic surgeons in particular, because we're running such high volumes on those credit cards, whether it's in person or a saved card to file. So when it comes to chargeback, it is hard to protect yourself, but what are some things that practices can do that can help mitigate some of that risk?
Yeah, and that's a perfect way to put it, right? What can we do to serve our clients better to help them mitigate the risk of a chargeback? Well, we can provide them documentation, right? An authorization from the card holder stating that the service, that they agreed to it, they agreed to the price on it. We've got time and date stamps from the transaction, when the transaction actually happened. We've also got an ability to take a look at what they have in place today, and really just kind of help them move into just a more secure environment. And by doing so, being able to look in a small space of, okay, we know this transaction happened, we know you authorized it, we've got a time and date stamp, we've got the transaction code. I mentioned before, tokenizing a card. When you tokenize a card, because of EMV, European, MasterCard, and Visa, those chips that we have in our card, every transaction has a unique identifier, right? So we can go back to that. So you can start kind of stacking the chips in your favor to help fight any sorts of chargebacks, in addition to, pre- and post-operative photos, right? One of the great things about our system is, you can take a picture and before and after. Okay, well, we've got it. We know the work was performed. So we can help our clients stack those chips in their favor to help them fight any potential chargebacks.
Yeah. One of the other things that Symplast offers with that Symplast Payments integration is the ability to take a deposit for an online appointment request. Now, when you're taking that deposit or getting a card on file, whether it's over the phone or through that online booking, one of the things I've always recommended to practices, and it's something that I did when I was at a practice and I ran the website, is I made sure to always have policies. Practice policies, cancellation policy, what I'm going to run your card for, what I'm saving your card for, that type of thing, before they enter the online booking system. Is that something that me doing that, it was kind of me just saying, I think we should do this to protect ourselves. Is there validity to that?
A ton, and you said it so eloquently, and I honestly, that's exactly right. When I talk about stacking the chips, you have documentation. Everybody's kind of on the up and up, right? For lack of a better term, of the patient knows that this is what they've agreed to for a service. Everybody signed off on it. They've read through it. You've got the documentation on file. It certainly helps fight back any of the chargebacks that they may have.
Fantastic. Let's pivot really quick, because in your new role, one of the other things that you're doing is not just specific to payments, right? You're looking at other ways that, we can make it easier for practices to run their business. You and I were talking a little bit ago about different integrations that we might be, potentially future partnering with in the future, and we don't want to give anything away because I have nothing confirmed here. I know nothing.
We'll keep it high level.
Yeah, very high level. So let's talk a little bit about that in ways that it can help practices with integrating with multiple systems and your goals there. Now that you're part of Symplast.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of services, right? We're broadcasting live from the aesthetics conference, the largest ones in all of North America, certainly. And as I walk around this room and I see the different booths that are set up, I automatically go into how can we incorporate it, because there's a lot of need for these things for practices, and where can we bring incremental value, quantifiable incremental value to our clients to say, hey, we've really pulled in this partnership strategically, so now you don't have to go over there to do it. It's all sitting housed within the same system, right? Again, I often talk about, Facundo our CEO likes to talk about the spoke of the wheel, right? I think of, the nucleus of the whole thing and everything being tied to the nucleus. Well, we're kind of that nucleus that branches out in different places, but it's really forward thinking, a one-stop shop, so that our clients can focus on their core competencies, right? Mm-hmm. Surgeons are great surgeons. Right? They're great at what they
all comes
do.
down to the patient, right?
Patients, and what can we do to help them stay focused in that relationship, and why they're doing, working through that, so to speak.
Yeah.
So
yeah, keeping the patient first by simplifying your day-to-day workflows through smart integrations, like the Aspire Galderma integration is a great one, and that ties into payments as well, because you got that integration live for Aspire Galderma. You can process those transactions right there and make your reimbursements faster and easier. So a little bit outside
bringing
of
value. Yeah, no,
always,
listen, at the end of the day, it all ties in, right? Mm-hmm. It's bringing value. How do we make the relationship a productive relationship and a partnership, right? And I think we can serve our clients, our partners, their patients better when we strategically itemize by listening, right? By listening a lot to what a practice or a med spa may need, and going out and finding best in class and incorporating that into our platform, somehow, some way, to give them access to it at their fingertips. Obviously in my role with revenue expansion, I think about, all right, how can I make the practice more profitable, right? So by strategically targeting some of these relationships and bringing them in, we may be able to bring in economies of scale that an individual practitioner may not be able to get, right? Because we've got that relationship with that strategic partner.
Amazing. Well, I think that's a great place to put a pin in it, as the saying goes.
We'll be back.
Listen, Michael, it has been such an exciting experience for me just to get to know you. This is our first time, for everyone watching, it's our first time meeting.
Yes.
You started, a little over a week ago?
A little over a week ago, about 2 weeks in.
Yeah.
2 weeks in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm learning. I'm a sponge. Give it to me.
Yeah, I can tell. You're doing great already. So, but it has been phenomenal talking to you. I can't wait to continue to work with you, and I can't wait to see the value that you bring to our clients in your new role. So I think that's a great place to end it. We'll continue this conversation later as you're helping to roll out new initiatives within the organization to make the app that more all-in-one hub and spoke system that you and Facundo both talk so eloquently, as you say, about. So anyways, everyone that was watching, thank you so much for tuning into the new SymCast podcast. Again, I am Jessica Wisner. I'm the product marketing manager here at Symplast, and this is Michael Hervis, Vice President of Revenue Expansion, and we will chat with you on the next one. Thanks, Michael.
Hi, everybody.